Hey, Chris Meade here again with another edition of Geek Speak. Today I wanted to share with you a couple ideas about how to get more useful information out of your data. So when we start thinking about our data, most of us have a lot of it, but it's locked away in spreadsheets and paper files and maybe some of our accounting or other systems. In order to unlock the potential of that data, we've got to ask a few questions to get organized in how we use and present it. So here are just a couple thoughts about that. First and foremost is figuring out what kind of impact you're trying to have. And that's obviously tied and related to your mission. So if you're trying to boost student achievement in school, or you're trying to get your message more broadly about the environment out there, really understanding that impact is the first step. Secondly, then, how do we take advantage of the data that we already have, the resources that we already have in our organization? And think about this in terms of like gauges on a dashboard of our automobile. What is it that we can measure relative to what impact we're trying to achieve? So if it's raising test scores, we obviously need to have a gauge like a speedometer around test scores and where they are today. So think in terms of just a couple of gauges. Our car doesn't take measurements of everything, present all of that information all at the same time, but we look at a few of the things that really keep us on course most of the time, and those are the ones to focus on first. Secondly, where is that data today? Is it in a spreadsheet? Is it out there among our customers and we have to ask questions in order to get it? Really laying our hands on where it is so that we can then feed that into those gauges is really important. Then we have to think about how to best represent it. Does this information present well as a gauge with a needle that goes from green, yellow to red? Is it a bar chart? Thinking about how you present information visually is really important for making other people understand exactly where you are in a quick and visual way. Next is thinking about who needs to see it and how often. Is this something that your board would be concerned about? Is it something your funders or the staff are concerned with? And that may determine what tools you use to actually present that information and how often you present it. And then lastly, how often does it need to be refreshed? This is a big stumbling point for a lot of organizations because doing it the first time is easy, or easier, but doing it on a recurring basis can take a lot of time if we haven't found ways to automate it. And so thinking about how often it needs to be refreshed can also determine how much you're willing to invest in pulling that information. So just a couple of tips to think about how to turn some of that data that you have today into useful business information and really turn it into some key gauges that you can pay attention to make sure that you're on track to have the impact that you want to have.